Welcome back, guys. So now we will be talking about depression. Okay, so this slide is very important, guys. So depression. So we have a certain when we want to classify that it is a depression, we have certain symptoms and certain symptoms that we must look out for in order to classify what is the severity of that um, depression. And the core symptoms is of course mood, interest and energy. We have to look out for all these three things, and abbreviation is MIE. Depressed people will always have a depressed mood every day. That means they will always feel sad or empty, and they will also have a markedly diminished interest in pleasure and all, and they will also always have a low energy and fatigue. And this is all about the core symptoms. And as for the cognitive symptoms, they will have a very poor concentration, as in like in studies or in whatever things that they are doing, they will have a very poor concentration. They will also have an impaired memory, which means they cannot remember things like very simple stuff. They cannot remember for quite a long time. And they will also be pessimistic and self-blaming. That means they are always feeling guilty of whatever that they are doing, and they also would be nihilistic. That means their religion and moral values are being neglected, and they will eventually commit to suicidal thoughts. But make sure that when you are actually classifying that this patient is having depression, make sure that there are certain boxes to check. The first one is it must be present for at least 2 weeks. Okay. The second one is symptoms. You must also make sure that the symptoms are not attributable to any organic or substance causes. For example, organic means let's say if the patient is hypothyroidism and they are actually being sad, that means that you cannot classify them as having depression. That means they are just being sad because of hypothyroidism, and when you tackle hypothyroidism, that sad episodes will eventually fade away. And of course substance use, for example cannabis, can also cause mood to be very down and stuff. And the third box that you need to check on is the symptoms also impair daily function and also cause significant distress, and that means it does not only cause normal sadness. So a few other things that you can see in a depressed patient is even their sense of appearance. For example, their dress and grooming is neglected, and other things that you can also notice that their rate of blinking also could be reduced, and their gestural movements are also reduced. And when I say they have an impaired memory and poor concentration, that means they have a diminished ability to think or concentrate. They also will be feeling as if they are worthless, and they also will continuously blame themselves. And at intervals, they also would have these thoughts of death or suicidal attempts. So other things that you have to look out for are these somatic or biological symptoms. For example, all these lists: early morning awakening, insomnia, loss of appetite, loss of libido. Loss of libido means loss of sexual pleasure. Diurnal variation of mood, that means they can be happy for a moment and then become very sad at another moment. And psychomotor retardation or agitation, that means something that you see as a doctor, like you notice they walk slow and all those stuff. So psychomotor retardation means they walk, act, talk slowly, and agitation is referring to a state of restlessness. For example, they are actually constantly making restless movements of legs and stuff. And when the things got severe, they also could have the psychotic symptoms, for example, hallucination and these delusions. So delusion is basically a persistent belief that that is something that means that is their belief that you cannot change at all. For example, when the patient tells everything in my body is dead and rotting inside, you cannot really explain to them that that is not happening. It's their belief like that. That means they are just being delusional. And hallucination manifests when it is too severe. And hallucination is referring to a case where the patient actually can perceive, see and hear things that can only be acknowledged by that particular person. And to talk more about delusions basically have 5 types. So the first one is delusion of guilt. For example, some dishonest act will be discovered and he will be punished severely, and he believes at the same time he also believes that such punishment is deserved. The second one is hypochondrial delusions. That means even the patient himself might believe he has a cancer when the doctor tells that it's just normal mental illness. The third one is a delusion of impoverishment. That means the patient may believe he has lost all his money in business venture when he is actually just having a bad season in his business, and he can actually make a comeback, but he just give up and all those things. And the fourth one is nihilistic delusions. For example, I can't really tell what is the exact meaning of this nihilistic delusion, but I'll give an example that the patient might even believe that, for example, his liver is rotting. And the last one is persecutory delusion. That means the patient might believe that other people are discussing him in a very in a very disgusting way, or the patient might even think that everyone surrounding him is about to take revenge on him. So all the symptoms are actually pointing towards the severity of the depression. And based on the number of the symptoms, you can actually classify them according to this ICD-10 classification. This classification is very, very important in the clinical reasoning, and that you should know all these symptoms in order to classify them. Okay. So now I'll be talking about bipolar disorder. Okay. Bipolar disorder, it is a mood disorder characterized by marked mood swings between mania and bipolar depression, and that actually can cause significant personality stress or social dysfunction. So students will always have this confusion between maniac as well as hypomanic. So this is the difference between the maniac as well as hypomanic. As I said before, from this definition, you know that the hypomanic is less severe compared to maniac. So this bipolar affective disorder actually can be classified into 2. The first one is this one, as well as the second one is this one. Okay, and I want to talk more about this because it's going to be very different. Okay, let's just talk about the symptoms of the bipolar patient. Okay, as I said before, the core symptoms of them is they will have an elevated mood, they will have a high interest as well as a high energy. The same abbreviation MIE, and they also have certain other cognitive symptoms. Okay, let's just talk. Okay, here are the cognitive symptoms. You can just have a look. I'm just going to talk a few things about the clinical features. These are the things that you have to notice when you see a bipolar patient. Okay, the first one, of course, they will have a very elevated mood. that means they are having euphoria episodes. They have always been cheerful and can become angry at a spontaneously they can become angry. And their appearance, let's talk about the appearance. They might be very brightly colored, like they have a very cheerful face and all those things. Their behavior, they can be very overreactive and they can also be easily distracted. And it must be noticed that their sexual activity could be increased. This is a risk assessment and you have to see who is with them, who is staying with them and all those stuff, because those surrounding people can actually be sexually assaulted by this bipolar patient. Other thing is their sleep also could be reduced, but eventually the patient will wake up energetically. Their appetite is increased. That means they also would eat they would eat greedily. Their speech is often rapid. That means it's like yeah, this is a very key. I would say this is a key clinical feature that you should see in a bipolar patient. They speak as I can't. It's just like very rapidly they will be talking, and you can't even catch what they're talking. And when they're talking about something, they eventually jump from one topic to another. That means they are easily distracted and they're not focusing on what they are actually doing. And that means I mean I'm just like what concluding that they are actually having a poor concentration at the same time. So that poor concentration eventually lead to the forgetfulness behavior, and their thinking is very grandiose, as in like they have these self-important ideas, they have these grandiose ideas, and they will make reckless decision to give up job to venture into business. And then for example they can even just meet a stranger and buy them gifts for like thousands of ringgits or thousands of bucks just for the sake of making them happy. The idea is just not logic, and they might even tell that they are gods, like God sent guy, God sent angel or something to do God's job or something. They might even tell that they are prime minister's friend. So their ideas is just like very grandiose and not logical at all. And this is because their insight is impaired. Because that means like they may see no reason why grandiosity should be reformed. Sorry, it should be reframed. And they also bipolar. Okay, I just want to like stress on this thing that the bipolar patient are usually bipolar means is already a severe form, and when they are already in a very severe form, they will always have this thing called as the hallucination, as I said before. So they will have this thing like a voice speaking to them, saying they are God, voices speaking to them to kill someone. So you will always have to do this risk assessment. What are the risks that they could do to themselves, like neglect them, or like reckless driving or committing suicide, or what are the risks that they can impose to others, for example inappropriate sexual behavior or kill others because of hallucination and stuff. So you really have to look out for these clinical features when you are encountering a bipolar patient. So in the next video, I'm just going to talk about the monoamine hypothesis, and briefly I will be talking about the treatments for this bipolar as well as depressed patients.